Okay, good evening, one and all. Thank you for coming to our Champaign County COW meeting, Committee of the Whole. Today's date is September 15th, 2020, and it is 6:30. Megan, could I get a roll call, please?
Thorson. Tinsley.
Present.
Wolken.
Here.
Young. Clemens.
Here.
We can barely hear you, sweetie. You need to speak up.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Hear you?
It is. Can you hear me now? Okay.
A little better, but not a lot. Could you
Yeah,
get,
you need to either raise your mic or get closer to it. Raise your volume on your mic or get closer to it because I can barely hear you. I don't want to be marked absent because I can't hear you.
ditto?
Volume on the that.
Are you there, Megan?
Just a moment.
So the plus
It's coming through here now.
That's better.
All of you that are listening, you should have your mics on mute. And for the audience participation, please raise your hand if you want to be acknowledged. The same thing goes for the board members when it comes to communications.
Okay, now can you hear me?
I could.
Okay, I'm going to start over again.
Thank you.
Thorson.
Here.
Tinsley.
Present.
Wolken.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Clemens.
Here.
Cowart. Dillard Myers.
Here.
Eisenman.
Here.
Esri.
Here, and John Rector, I see his name as participants, but he's still not part of the meeting, like hasn't been accepted yet for some reason. I'm not sure what that entails.
Fears.
Here.
Furtado.
Here.
Goss.
Present.
Harper. Ingram.
Here.
McGuire.
Hi, Megan. Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Michaels.
Here.
Patterson.
Here.
Rector.
Ooh.
I'll come back to him. Store.
President?
Summers.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Rosales.
I do see John Richter on my screen here, but he doesn't have a mic. So could we invite him in, Megan?
Say that again. Okay. Okay, that's everyone.
Okay, so we do have a quorum. Good. I seek a motion, approval of the agenda and the addendum. Is there an approval for the agenda moving forward? So I think one of you can move the agenda forward, please.
So moved, Goss.
Ron, First, second by I don't see any hands up.
Geraldo, we cannot hear you well now.
You cannot hear me well.
Oh, and now we can.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I hear a second? Chris, can you second this so we can move on?
I'll second for the purposes of discussion.
Thank you. Discussion on the agenda. Any additions, deletions, changes, corrections?
Geraldo, this is Darlene. I'm just letting people know there are no county board members at the meeting here tonight. I am here. That will make the meeting official since it's a remote meeting. That has to be recorded.
Okay, I thought Megan was doing that, but I see on my screen that it is being recorded. So
No,
thank-
I'm saying that somebody from the board has to be actually in the physical place of the meeting in order for this to be a legitimate meeting.
I didn't realize that that was supposed to happen. I thought it was basically Megan that was supposed to do that.
It has to be a board member or an administrative officer or the state's attorney. Those are the three choices.
Well, can't you serve as the administrative officer, Darlene?
Yes, that's why I'm just letting you know. I'm here at the building. I'm in the meeting.
Thank you, Lord. Okay. Thank you for participating, Darlene, and thank you for being the recording officer in the room.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep
Okay,
almost
any discussion on
immediately.
the agenda?
Stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested.
No, but if we could get Jim McGuire to turn off the My Pillow commercial, that would be really awesome.
A lot of noise in the background. Could you please turn off your speaking? And raise your hand to be acknowledged, please. Jim, McGuire, turn off your speaker.
For example, you can get Bounty pills regularly $89.99.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. Love this stuff. Are there any comments, deletions, or additions to the today's agenda and addendum? Seeing none, all those in favor, could I get a roll call, Megan?
Thorson,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper, Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector, Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes, thank you, one and all. Let me catch my breath. Okay, now we seek public participation. For the beginning of that is John Benvenick. He's had his hand up.
Geraldo, the minutes first.
And
All
also
right, item number 4. Thank
Stan
you.
Harper, Stan Harper can't get in for some reason.
Okay, Stan Harper, could we admit him into the meeting, Megan? Did we get John back in?
He says he still can't get in. Rector can't get in.
Could we do anything about that, Darlene? Is Andy around?
The meeting is not locked. Anyone should be able to get into the meeting who has the link. Andy's going to resend them the link via email if that would help. I don't know if they are using the wrong link or what.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we send it to them just as a safety precaution, and then since it's open, they could continue on. Okay, thank you for the reminder, Eric. Item number 4, approval of the minutes, August 11th, 2020. Could I seek a motion to approve the minutes?
So
So
moved, why
moved.
not?
Moved by Mike Ingram,
Second, Thorsland.
second by Thorsland. Discussion, additions, deletions, any comments on the minutes of August 11th? Seeing none, all those in favor, Megan, take a roll call.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yeah.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss.
Yes.
Has Harper joined? Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes, thank you. Okay, let me just catch my breath here. Item number 5, public participation. The first one on is John Van Bennick, followed by Aaron Esri, and then, no, Aaron, you could do, thank you, and followed by Wayne Williams.
And I would add that Mr. Charles Langsford's had his hand up in video since the beginning of the meeting as well.
Okay, and then we could have him after Wayne. I don't see his hand up.
He's waving it on the camera. I don't know that. he
Oh,
knows how to
okay.
raise his hand.
I only have 4 screens on mine, so, okay. But sure, he could go after Wayne Williams. John?
All right, my name is John Bambenek, resident of Champaign. I am not sure that many of you are aware, but this afternoon I filed lawsuit against the county treasurer. For almost 2 years, since most of you young Democrats have taken over county government, that office has been a disaster. No month or very few monthly reports have been done. Property tax collections they're still not reconciling payments. There's rumors of missing money, whether it's millions or tens of millions, and this dumpster fire has gone on long enough. You have failed to do your due diligence in putting in the treasure you did. You have failed to act with urgency to address this problem. And we saw the warning signs of this with the June 1st collection. We see it now, and we saw it in the News Gazette. The Champaign Public Library has gotten no disbursements. Other taxing bodies have gotten less. And like I said, apparently there's some money missing. You all could have removed the treasurer. You all could have chosen a treasurer who could do the job, but you didn't. Kyle Patterson, right? I would think that this issue would matter to you. As somebody who has a patronage job at the Cunningham Township Supervisor's Office, you're paid by property taxes. Well, yeah, you're taking money from the poor and lining your own pockets, but if you're not getting paid, you can't get it. I'm sorry, I don't know where this is, but somebody needs to mute. This is my time, right? Mike Ingram, while we're on the topic of patronage, right? I would think that you would care. Your solution to this problem is give the job to Auntie. Again, a year and a half. Nobody has done anything. You could remove her. You could demand things. You could make her testify under oath, and you haven't. So I'm here to clean up your messes because I'm tired of excuses, right? In the property tax code, there is the ability of private citizens based on non-performance of duties to ask the court to remove the treasurer and for an interim one to be appointed. That is part of this lawsuit. A writ of mandamus to force her to give monthly reports, to properly keep the books, right? The county code also allows for private individuals to prosecute civil actions for neglect of duty. That's in there. But because of your failure to do your jobs, you have now given me subpoena power to figure out exactly what's going on with all the consequences that come with that. Chairman Rosales, you have an evidence preservation letter in your email addressed to you and your county board members, to preserve emails, text messages, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, whatever. All the data of people, regardless of whether it's official channels or not, on the county treasurer's office, because there is going to be a subpoena coming. And you all should be prepared, because I am going to depose people, and we are going to figure out what's going on and who's to blame with it. Because it's the time for excuses over mishandling $400 million is over, right? I just have to wonder, Mr. Ingram, when you become county recorder, are we going to see the same kind of messes with property records? Am I going to know who owns my home come February? Enough is enough. For the local taxing bodies who are listening in, any records you have, please send my way. And again, I'm sure you're going to be hearing from the state's attorney on what your obligations are, but hold on to all those records, because a subpoena is coming, folks. Thank you.
Okay, before we continue on, let's keep personal attacks out of this meeting, please, or mentioning individual board members' names or anybody else's name. Let's just deal with the business at hand in front of us. So I would really appreciate that moving forward. Wayne Williams, you're next. Are you there, Wayne?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Hi, everybody. My name is Wayne Williams. I'm the Cunningham Township Assessor. The reason I am here today is that anyone that knows me personally knows that I take constituent service very seriously. Today, my office got 2 calls. It's not the first 2 calls we got on this particular problem. But with everything that's going on in the paper, I thought I'd let you all know. I do everything I can to help my constituents when I can. Those of you that know me personally would probably attest to that. One taxpayer constituent called my office because they were worried that their second installment hadn't been deducted out of their bank account for their property taxes, and asked if I could investigate. Now, obviously, my role is to do assessments. It's not really my role to handle property tax questions, but I'll do whatever I can to help a constituent they call. So I went and investigated and found out that the ACH transactions haven't happened yet, but they will be happening soon. I had another constituent call my office. I didn't take it personally, but my chief deputy did, from a constituent who complained about lack of communication with the treasurer's office. And I've had other constituents call in to let me know that it's really hard and difficult to get in touch with the treasurer, whether it's over the phone or over email. It's easy for me because I can just walk into Brookings and I have personal relationships, but for the average person, it's not that easy. And frankly, in a pandemic, it's dangerous. So I just want you all to know that and take with that what you want.
Thank you for your comments, Wayne. Next is Mike Coons. Is that the right name, Eric? I don't see a hand.
Charles Langford.
Oh, Charles Langford, you're next.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for attending our meeting today and being so patient at the beginning of our meeting.
My pleasure. My name is Charles Lansford. I reside in Champaign, Illinois. I'm speaking in my role as chair of the Champaign Public Library Governing Board. To begin, I will refer the board to the front page article in today's News Gazette written by Deb Pressey. $700,000 has not been received by Champaign Public Library from the first installment of the 2019 tax payable this year on June 1st, 2020. We have been told by the treasurer that it is unknown when we will be receiving any of that money or from the second installment that was due September 1st, 2020. The treasurer also informed Champaign Public Library that 10% of the first installment was being withheld to cover, quote, contested taxes, unquote. In fact, 17.5% has been withheld from the library. The holdback is a tradition. It's been held for years, but has always been in the low single digits. Our Champlain Public Library income is 95% dependent upon these property taxes. So any delays quickly affect cash flow and our ability to pay taxes and bills and salaries. We are talking about the ability to pay our employees. The question we have, when can we expect to receive the holdback from the first tax installment? And when can we expect to receive the second installment payments? We would like a date certain when we can expect the transfer of these monies to the library so it can continue to be the very valuable asset Champaign County and the city of Champaign has. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments tonight, Mr. Ford. Really appreciate it. And I did read that article today. Okay, are there any further public participation other than the three that just spoke? Is there anybody in that room, Darlene, that would like to speak?
No, there's no one here except Megan and myself.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we're going to move on to item six on our agenda, the presentation by the visitors of Champaign County, which is Visit Champaign County by Jane DeLuce. Jane, thank you. It's been a long time since we hadn't heard from you or seen you. So looking forward to today's presentation, and miss our soirees at the end of every year, celebrating your accomplishments. And I know Mike Ingram is the representative in this board. So thank you both for the work you have done so far.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you this evening. And you've received a copy of our FY20 annual report. So tonight I want to share the reality of where we are today. I am screen sharing and it's loading. I'm hoping, there we go. Okay. Can everybody see that one okay?
I can see perfectly.
Okay.
Having difficulty seeing today's presentation on the outside of the ordinary?
Hopefully everybody can see that. Try to do, I'm looking for a full screen if anyone technology-wise wants to help, or maybe this.
Press F5, Jane. F5.
Okay, I just pressed it. It's not doing anything on that. Hold on, let me look at the display settings here.
Try double clicking in the center of your screen that says outside ordinary.
Oh, no, that took me to the next one, but that's okay. I think this will, if everyone can see this, I think we'll keep going so I don't take up too much of your meeting here. I want to make sure that I've got it set. Okay.
There's also a screen at the bottom of your window. The little screen, see, it's look like a triangle in there. Try that, or the one next to the pen.
Over here?
No, right under the window. You see, you have pen, and then there's those 4 boxes.
Yes.
And try the 4 boxes, or the thing next to the question mark.
Oh, nope, I don't want that.
Okay. Well, it's the other one next to the question mark, right there. Yeah. Next
this
to
one.
Yeah,
this one.
Next to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one?
The one next to the left. To the left.
Oh, this one.
No. To the right of the question mark. The right of the question mark of the search question.
Oh, in here. Got
one
it.
More, one more over. One more over. Right there. Try that one.
Okay.
No, that blocked it out.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We'll go.
Well, it must be in the ellipsis, the little round thing. You got more in the little round thing.
We could see a little smaller, but we could see Jane.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dillard.
Thank you. I appreciate the assistance. It showed up on my screen, but I don't want to ruin too much of this. But anyway, okay. So thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. And 7 months ago, we unveiled Destination 2023 with the destination vision that the greater Champaign County area will provide energetic and innovative experiences, attracting visitors and potential residents from around the world. Our organizational vision is that Visit Champaign County will be a connected and collaborative leader in promoting the region as an extraordinary destination to visit, work, and live. And our organizational mission is that we promote a welcoming destination experience for visitors to strengthen economic opportunity and enhance the lives of residents. The future was bright. Our numbers for 2019 were record-breaking. We have the largest percentage of growth in the entire state of Illinois. In the greater Champaign County area, travel and tourism supports 3,270 jobs, generating a payroll of $98.1 million, with non-residential spending exceeding $448.7 million, adding $8.2 million in local taxes to our community. Again, these numbers are provided by the U.S. Travel Association, and these are for 2019. So there were several accomplishments early in FY20, and I shared those with you in quarterly reports. I shared them with you in the annual report. So for tonight, I just wanted to say this one because this is truly the industry that is hurting so greatly with the restaurants. During Restaurant Week in January of 2020, we had a record number of 32 participating restaurants. Over 44,000 website visits happened during the promotion. It was a tremendous opportunity to be able to showcase the amazing restaurants that we have in the area. Then in March, our world changed and travel stopped. We shifted our organizational priorities to 1, compassion for people, 2, support for hospitality industry, 3, organizational survival, and 4, a readiness to welcome visitors when the time is right. Along with community partners, the 4 main areas on how we have responded to the COVID pandemic include 1, a hospitality relief fund. We generated over $12,000 that provided financial assistance to 42 displaced employees at each of our current hotel partners. 2, we maintained a comprehensive list, and still do, of updates of area businesses and events to educate the community of openings, closings, cancellations, reschedulings. 3, we created ChampaignCountySafe.org with business resources and the Champaign County Safe Pledge, alongside many graphics, posters, and videos. And 4, with daily communication with our hotels, our attractions, and our local businesses to communicate grant opportunities, share webinars, and support their needs. This video that I hope will play sums up the message of hope that we created for our community.
Jane, is that on your website as well?
It is, and I'll share a link with you all afterward. We had over 14,000 views, and this was shared many times. It was shared online, it was shared through the city public TV, shared through other media sources. So it's been some really dark times for our community.
Yes.
But we've also seen some brighter notes, such as the return of the IHSA boys state basketball tournament to this area. It is for a 3-year bid. It is supposed to start in 2021, and that is still to be determined. But keep in mind, the effort to bring it back the Boys State Basketball Tournament after 25 years was truly a community effort in conjunction with the Division of Intercollegiate Athletics. And we're just thrilled that it is back in our community. We also brought in a new tournament, and this is the American Junior Golf Association Junior All-Star Tournament. It took place in August at the Urbana Country Club. There were 78 players from 18 different states and several countries. It was approved by the Public Health District, the plan to offer this tournament safely. It was an opportunity to be able to bring economic impact of $217,000 during a time that we basically have had 0 events. Mike Kuhn, who is on this call, is our Director of Sports Events and Film, and did a great job of working with this national company, and they plan to return again in the next year. Also, we've worked as economic responders for the future with plans for our community to develop the Yards Project, the Rantoul Sports Complex, and the extension of the Kickapoo Rail Trail, among other destination development projects. So I'm going to close with this video. It's about what we see as a community vision and the fact that we need your continued support to help our community thrive.
And on your website, that video will have sound as well too. Correct, Jane?
Yeah, you're not getting the sound?
No.
Oh.
Could somebody mute their computer? I hear the television behind. Somebody's not muted. You should all be muted.
Looks like Lorraine's.
Okay, my computer's not muting.
Is everybody on mute? Thank you. Better.
So I do want to thank you on behalf of the Visit Champaign County Board, the Visit Champaign County Foundation Board, and the team. I want to thank Mike Ingram for representing the Champaign County Board on our board. He does a great job serving and representing all of you. And I want to thank you for your continued support and hope that we will be able to count on you as a partner as you look into your next budget cycle. We're very much appreciative of that. I will stop the screen sharing at this moment, and I'm helpful if you want me to answer any questions or if there's any comments, I'm happy to address those now.
Mike Ingram, I believe you have your hand up.
Yeah, no, I don't really have any specific questions for you, Jane. I do want to say thanks for the presentation. I think I've probably echoed this every time that you've come to the board. I definitely know a lot more about the local tourism bureau, obviously, just from having sat on this board. It's some of the stuff that we don't think about. I think even as elected officials, the investment into this and what it then brings back as a return, just in terms of tax revenues and things like that. I often don't think about it until I actually sit down and look at the numbers that y'all present. So I just wanted to say thanks for that. This has been obviously a crazy year, and if there's any local industries that are taking the biggest hit, it's the stuff that y'all work with most of the time. So I do appreciate what you've been trying to do to help local businesses kind of try to stay afloat, or at least keep morale up. Watching that video of we'll visit here again, we'll eat here again, and all those things. That's the hope. Unfortunately, depending on how things go, some of those places we may not be able to do that again, unfortunately. So the hope with everybody is that we're going to be able to do this well. But I think having you out there and banging the drum for local businesses is helpful. And I do appreciate all the work that you do in that regard. And thanks for the presentation.
Thank you for your comments, Mike. Totally appreciate it. John Rector, you're next.
Jane, again, congratulations to you and your team for a job well done. Props for getting the boys basketball tournament back. That's just, we had it for so many years, and I know you and DIA worked so hard, but congratulations on that. Do you have any idea how many hotel properties are closed right now?
Currently, they have reopened, but very limited. The 3 that were closed during the pandemic included the Fairfield Inn, the Illini Union, and the Hilton Garden Inn. The Hilton Garden Inn has reopened for rooms, not for meetings. Fairfield Inn is open to fairly low occupancy, and the Illini Union reopened when campus reopened. And similar to the rest of the hotels, we're seeing a slight uptick in occupancy. The average daily rate is it's very, very low for the hotels, and the hotels that have maintained, I should say, or done the best in these circumstances were the extended stay hotels, because they had construction projects going on, which is a positive for the community, as well as healthcare workers that were here for extended contracts. But otherwise, it was over 1,000 employees that lost their jobs or were furloughed during this time. So I think the hospitality industry has just been decimated.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions, John. Are there any further questions from the board or from the public regarding today's presentation? I had one question for you, Jane. For the university's commencement ceremonies in December and in May, have you heard back from the university? Are they going to hold commencement? Because usually hotels get full and they get booked very early. So we could anticipate, them being full and anticipate commencement to move forward and to encourage parents of students basically to make their reservations sooner than later. So you haven't heard anything from the university regarding commencements?
At this point, I would surmise that December will be virtual for the December graduates, and that May will be the earliest that we would see the commencement ceremony take place. I think right now, all of the events that are scheduled in 2021 are scheduled, but as we know, that could change as we get further into this and determine at what point that we feel that it's safe to be able to host events of a large caliber like that. So we're with you. The loss of commencement weekend, Mom's Weekend, Illinois Marathon, the Illinois Football Club soccer tournaments, the hundreds of meetings and conferences that have all been canceled or rescheduled for later on, the number of weddings, the number of reunions, any type of group gathering has just been put on hold. And now even with the number of smaller weddings, It's very difficult to take a special events venue like a Pear Tree Estate or even the iHotel, wherever you want to look at, and try to figure out how you can have enough small group gatherings to even come close to financially being able to recoup any of the costs that have happened with the loss of these major events.
Thank you for your lovely presentation, Jane. Totally appreciate it and your professionalism. And thank your staff as well as your team.
Will do so. Thank you so much for inviting me this evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you. I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you. You do the same. Okay, next, item number 7 on our agenda is communications from the Champaign County Mental Health Board, Developmental Board, and Disability Board. And I believe that's Lynn Canfield, and I do see her name up. Lynn, you have the floor, Lynn.
Hi, I'm here. I shared a couple of documents with you that probably equate to 50,000 words, maybe 100,000 words. So I don't think I should add to them. I wish I could summarize even more, but I was just really trying to capture for you all this. We are at a moment where typically in our allocation process, we can all the plates in the air are kind of in one place for a minute. We kind of describe what we think, what we think we're doing right now. The problems are always the same, and that's that the larger context for developmental disability services and mental health services itself is always changing. The larger context is federal and state funding and service delivery and all the regulations which come with that. So we have to operate within that environment, and so much is unknown now. And, not to just, I guess the sky is always falling for me, which means I have lots of practice with the sky falling. So my hope is that for the next funding cycle, which we begin to prepare for now, for the agencies equates to a start of July 1st, 2021. I hope that we will be able to bring down some of the lessons that we're staring at right now. And some of those lessons have to do with things like telehealth services are sort of a boon for some people, but they turn out to be completely inappropriate for others. For example, people with severe mental illness, people who are having a hard time keeping housing and the basics of life together, people with severe developmental disabilities. These are, for all of these people, face-to-face services are just not replaceable. So this will be a challenge for our industry. To integrate what we've learned about telecare, but also keep face-to-face services fully funded and safe. These are my problem, not yours, but I just wanted you all to know where we're at and what we're thinking about it. And I appreciate any and all ideas from you or suggestions regarding the work. The best way to get a hold of me is lynn@ccmhb.org. I think I put that in the letter for y'all. Anyway, thank you. And if you have questions, I'm here for a while.
And that report is also on your website, Lynn?
The letter to you all is not, that's just for you. The spreadsheet with the summaries of the programs, that's a traditional communication to you all. That is. And there's even, on the website, there's even like longer descriptions of each program. So if you're in the mood to read, come see me.
I read it all the time, believe me, because you provide a lot of support for the neighborhood community organizations. And without your assistance, I don't think their services would be made possible. So I totally appreciate your efforts and the efforts of your team as well.
Thank you for the shout out to that, because that sector is really coming through for people.
Yeah, especially in this time of crisis. And our board representative is Kyle Patterson. Kyle, do you have anything to add since you sit on that board for the last 2 years?
Not really. I'm grateful for the work that the staff puts in. Particularly in these times, we've had a lot of programs who have had to adjust the way that they deliver services. And so that's made things a lot more complicated for staff when it comes to adjusting contracts and things like that. But I'm really grateful for their dedication and persistence.
Well, thank you for that addition. Well, thank you, Lynn, for coming out and sharing that with us. I don't envy you. I know you have the sky falling on you on a daily basis, and it's a matter of crisis, and being able to adjust and leverage resources to accommodate the recipients that are benefiting from those benefits. So thank you for coming out and sharing that information with us. Are there any other board comments regarding the presentation today on the Mental Health and Disability Board? I don't see any little blue. Oh, there's Stephanie. You had your hand up? Nope. I see Steve Summers.
Geraldo, just a question. Are we going to allow any communications from board members at this point as well?
You know, I didn't see it on the agenda, but I'll take board communications as item B on the agenda. I didn't see that on there, but I think it's an appropriate place to go ahead and put board communications. So you could start us off with board communications, Stephen. Thank you for that reminder. It is not on our agenda today, but we will go ahead and take board comments at this time. Steve.
Thank you, Geraldo. I want to give due credit to Jane DeLuz and Visit Champaign County in terms of getting the IHSA boys basketball tournament here, but I would also like to add that both Senator Bennett and Representative Ammons were instrumental in getting the tournament back as well. It was a team effort with, I think, everyone in Champaign County. And I just wanted to make sure that they received a few kudos as well.
Thank you for those additions, Steve. Are there any further board comments at this time? Yep. We have Jody Iserman and then Mike Ingram. Jody, the floor is yours.
Hello. I would just like to announce and let everybody know that there is a Back the Blue rally on this Saturday the 19th, and it will be at 10 a.m. and you can come out and support the men and women who are keeping our communities safe. And so you can meet, there's a place to assemble in Mahomet, Tolono, and St. Joseph at 10 a.m. and then they will be all joining up at 11 a.m. In lot E14 across from the State Farm Center. So I just think it's a good opportunity to come out and thank all of the men and women and for all that they do to keep us safe.
Thank you for that announcement, Jody. Mike Ingram, you're next. You have the floor.
Great, thanks. Just to kind of follow up on a couple of the public comments from earlier too, I would assume that probably I'm not the only county board member with multiple constituents in their inbox asking about taxing issues. It's been bad for a while. It's continuing to get worse. We need to do everything we can to get it fixed. I have, when I counted today, 6 people asking about it via email, and I'm doing what I can to help them. But while that might not seem like a lot for a county board member's email inbox from emails from constituents, it's a lot. So I do want to make sure that people do understand that we are focused on it and have been for a little while. It's nice to hear that the first speaker tonight is going to be using some of his sizable income to point it towards something else that would be maybe productive. With moxie like that, you would think that maybe he could run for something where people would actually put him into office so that he could fight from the inside. That's all I got.
Thank you for sharing, Mike. Stephanie.
I just wanted to mention that the governor's office has announced the second round of small business loans for COVID, and that you could go to the Illinois Department of Commerce's website to find out more about that. So the second round of funding is around, and I think they're going to give away $245 million in grants for businesses and communities impacted by COVID. So I just encourage the business owners in our county who are navigating tough times right now that to check that out and to take advantage of that.
Good. Are there any further board comments before we move on? I do have one addition. I also serve on the board of Serve Illinois, which is a statewide board that gives out funding to AmeriCorps, Senior Corps, and EduCorps. Yesterday we opened up awards to community non-for-profit organizations that are serving volunteer. So I believe the YMCA has a partnership with Educational Justice Project, and they're also having an AmeriCorps student come on board under this award. So the time period, I'm not quite sure, so I can't tell you off of the top of my head, but you can look them up on the website, and that's Serve Illinois. And this is a statewide board that gives out funding to non-for-profit organizations within our community that serves volunteer work in our community. So great. Any further comments from board members? Going once, going twice, gone. Okay. Charles Young, you're next. Policy, personnel, and appointments is all yours. Item 8A.
Hello, you there? Can you hear me?
Welcome back, Charles. We missed you.
I miss you guys too. One big happy family. That's what I like. Love is my religion. That's all I teach. Okay, thank you, Chair Rosales. Where I'm at, Roman number 8, policy, person, and appointment.
The county executive appointments coming next.
A, county executive, 1 recommendation to the finance committee for approval of title change and reclassification of the circuit court executive secretary and salary grade range F to executive assistant and salary grade range I. Can't I get a motion?
So moved, Rector.
That's Rector. Second motion.
Second, Rosales.
Rosales second. Any discussions?
Could Aaron, oh, this is course. Now, Katie Blakeman is not there today, right? Or not on the meeting?
Lori Hanson's here.
This is circuit court. Lori's here and Isak's here as well.
Okay.
On the talk. Any discussion?
Have a little summary, brief summary as to what are we doing here?
Sure, I'll jump in. This is Isak. So in 2009, the Circuit Court's office had an administrative assistant position that is higher ranked, higher rated than the one that's there right now. But based on the court's needs a couple years ago in 2017, it was actually downgraded to a secretary position. And Lori has been working with the judge, the circuit judge, on trying to identify the best needs of the department now. And it's clear for them that they really need to go back to the previous administrative assistant position, but with that position, in addition, having a higher level of supervisory responsibilities. And so we took a look at that and compared it to other positions across the county, especially in the courthouse, that have similar responsibilities, especially in terms of supervisory and budget positions. And the recommendation is to have it be on par and peer with the positions across the county that really are similar in terms of responsibility. So it's more of a reevaluation of the old position that's not currently filled, and upgrading that a little bit, and then eliminating the secretary position that was created in 2017. Lori, is there anything you'd want to add there?
Sorry, I couldn't find my mouse. I think that covers it as far as an overview is concerned, but I can answer specific questions if there are any.
Anybody else? Going once, twice. Okay.
I got a question there.
Harper has the hand up.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Stan.
I'm sorry, Charles. I'm a little late on this thing. I understand probably the need for this, but every time we turn around, we reevaluate somebody's job to get a higher pay scale. And most of you know, on both sides of the aisle, we have deputies that protect all of us in this whole county that are underpaid. I'm really having a problem with this. Every time we raise somebody's salary, but we can't find money for our deputies and they're understaffed the way it is. That's all I have to say.
If I could address this, actually would not be a higher, because of where the previous person was, the incoming person would actually be at very close to the same actual wage, that the hourly wage that the person was there previously. And just how sometimes things work. The grade goes up, but in turn, it's actually not a measurable budget impact at all.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm sorry, Charles. I understand that, Isak, but I'm just saying the overall, most of you know where I stand on this whole issue. So every time somebody in their department needs to reevaluate their positions and their staffs, and you know what? It always ends up more money. So I'm out here to protect our sheriff and his staff and what we can do for that. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, anybody else want to protect the money?
You got Diane and you got Connie waiting.
Where?
Go ahead.
Let me see. Go ahead, Connie Dillon Myers.
I just really want to know what the steps are, the process. I've never sat in on a session where there was, because it looks like there's a couple of them here. One of them's really look like it may be in the second phase, and the other one's probably in the first phase. How does this work?
I'm sorry, I feel like, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I'm sorry, could you clarify?
Okay, well, the second resolution is also some request for authorization of somebody's job being reevaluated. And I'm just trying to look at the difference. Here you even have the job duties, you have a organizational chart, you stay with who the person's, what they're gonna be doing, what their skill level is. And then on the next one, it's just a letter. So are you in a different phase?
They are. The next one is actually, the first step is to go to the Personnel Policy Committee and ask for the reevaluation to occur. And that's, the next one is at that phase. There's a committee that there's actually a survey that's filled out. There's an assessment, there's a comparison of other positions in the county, and then a recommendation from the committee. The recommendation then goes to the Personnel Policy Committee. If the Personnel Policy approves it, then it goes to the Finance Committee, and then from the Finance Committee to the full board. And it's not an automatic. It's not an automatic in any way, shape, or form. There are times when the committee, there may be a request to actually upgrade a position. There are positions that have actually been downgraded as part of that review, or a recommendation to make no change. And so it really is a full evaluation at that point. And just what you're looking at is actually two positions in different parts of the phase.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, who is Diane M?
Diane Michaels?
Go ahead, Diane M. Michaels.
That's me.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I was going to wait till the finance part because I do want to add something in that section. But once again, it seems like every time we have a recommendation, for the most part, not only do we come back with reclassifying, but this is quite a jump that the committee has requested on reclassification as far as the salary range goes. If you'd like, I can wait till the finance to make my comments about that, or I can add them now, sir.
It's up to you.
I'd like to ask what actually is the cost to the budget, especially since we've asked a lot of these departments to decrease and take a percentage of their budget and do with less. I wonder why this had to jump so much when in all reality, not very long ago, this was asked to be a general secretary versus the executive assistant. I want to know what made that change and what is the bottom line effect of this after we've been asking everybody to make cuts across the board.
Laura, Lori, I'm actually in my car. Do you have the hourly for the previous person and the entry level for I?
I can look
It can
it
be a
up.
generalization. I don't need to know right down to the nickel.
Okay, it's my understanding that at least for next year, this was, if not a budget neutral change, it's very close to it.
Right, right.
And
Because of the wage of the outgoing person, it's effectively budget neutral. And it was actually, Lori considered that when looking at the overall budget, including the things that they were able to give up in terms of the overall budget. So this would not be in addition to the requested budget already.
And it also, part of what we're doing is because we decided not to fill the law librarian position, we have funds in that fund that will be transferred to the general fund to cover the extra amount of work this position is going to be doing to cover the law library duties, which includes the Legal Self-Help Center and some legal research and operating the library and covering the, taking care of the library budget. So we're actually making a transfer from the law library fund to the general corporate fund.
Well, it just seemed like with that kind of a jump, there is a large expectation of responsibility on one person. And, that's the other point I had here too, is that too much for that position, for that one person to be able to do all of the things that are required?
Well, it's essentially I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Judge Stefanis and I talked about this a lot, and he realized it's essentially an assistant or deputy court administrator type position so that there's a backup for the court administrator when needed, and taking care of a lot of the other duties that I've been doing and can't do it all. Basically, Judge Stefanis recognizes that there's more work than one person can do.
And it would model then Lori's position and the assistant's position more like the other departments that have that that are operating under a different structure that actually allocates the responsibilities at a more manageable level across the positions. So it's actually a role that's being filled in different departments. And it was a role that was in part filled previously, but my understanding is it actually was downgraded in part because of who was available at the time. But the needs of the department are to continue to have the same structure as other departments in the county.
Part of my question is, with this much of a jump too, I would not want to overburden the responsibilities on that person based on that either, because
right.
You just,
and it would not be promoting somebody from that to that. It's really looking for somebody who can walk in and have that kind of impact. But again, because of the way the budget works in general, it's effectively budget neutral, and there's already funds to cover that additional cost going into next year without and still saving from the circuit clerk's budget overall.
thank you.
Any more discussions? I don't see no hands. That's a dude, Stephanie hand. Geraldo. Go, Stephanie.
Just to sort of echo what my Republican colleague said, where there might not be I guess my question is, have we already hired this position or we're going to be? So I guess I just don't totally understand how we know where the person would come in on the salary range. And even if it's budget neutral for next year, just doing some quick calculations, to me, on the upper side of the range, there's an $18,673 difference between the two positions, and at the mid level, it's $16,000 and change. So whereas this might not be an immediate budget impact, it is a fairly significant staffing budget impact if you look it out long term. And especially if we keep an employee and keep them in the position. I'm not saying that it's not needed. I mean, I think that the memo made some compelling arguments about the change in the position and the necessity to have that role and have a qualified person in that role. But I really, arguing that this is budget neutral is, I don't think that that's a fair argument.
Yeah, you're right, going into next year, but it does, if the person who'd been in the secretary position had stayed, their wage would also be going up. And so that's what we're looking at, is the previous wage of the person who was paid higher in their range versus somebody who'd be coming in at this lower level.
But we don't always hire people at the bottom of the range either, depending on their skill set and their resume, right?
Right. And so, Lori, do you want to address that? Or do you want me to do it?
Can you repeat the question?
Yep, they're asking about how this would be filled.
Well, the person who's the secretary now would assume more duties.
Well, and to be so, so Lori, as part of our budgeting process, talked with the county executive about what the needs were, and was actually, this was before, so she actually recruited. She was looking for somebody who has the capacity to be this next level.
Thank you.
And
yes.
So part of this is, if that person is able to take that on, that's great. But if not, then there's an acknowledgement that that might not be the best person for that position, and then she'll need to start over.
Okay. I guess I want to just echo what Stan was saying and what Diane was saying, is that, as a county board, it's up to us to not just look at what the next year immediate impact is going to be. Although based on what you just said, I guess I'm a little bit more confused. I guess I was assuming the person wasn't in the position, but also to look further out and the potential impact down the road. Again, I'm not saying that I don't support the position. I'm just saying that it is a more difficult decision than I think that this conversation had indicated.
Okay, Chair Rosales.
My question and concern basically is with the little law library there that we have at the courthouse.
Yeah.
Is fully staffed Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day? Is staffed only a half a day, 3 times a week?
It is not staffed at all right now.
It is not staffed at all. And
Correct.
how would this position impact the hours of services to the public when they're working on their own case and they don't have an attorney and they want to be able to research information on their own and there's nobody there?
Well, the way the law library works is having someone there doesn't necessarily help people who represent themselves do the research, because that's getting into the area of giving legal advice, which we're not allowed to do. That's what the Self-Help Center is for. And the Self-Help Center is funded from the Law Library Fund, and that is where self-represented litigants go for their legal assistance. If they want to use the law library materials, they're welcome to do that. But even if there's a person in the law library all the time, that person can really not do much for the self-represented litigants other than say, these are the books, you're welcome to look at them.
Yeah, my concern is that several years back, I would say perhaps 6 years back, there was an attempt and an effort to staff this facilities at the courthouse, and we made allocations for a new position to just do that. And it seems like now there isn't anybody. You have the money to staff it, but you're diverting it, like Stephanie had indicated, diverting it to another fund, to another responsibility that was not to what we as the board had determined that position would do.
Well, I worked in the law library from 2005 until 2016, and I worked half-time. And that was the only staff in the law library. The position was reclassified at some point because what I started doing when I began there changed over time. My duties got more complicated and required a higher level of skill, to be honest, than what had been anticipated when I was hired. So when I moved to the court administrator position, we left that position empty for the time being to save money. And I thought, oh yeah, I can try to do both while I'm changing jobs. And it turned out I couldn't. And that's why we budgeted to have a law librarian this year. But unfortunately, what we could pay a law librarian, basically Judge DeFanis didn't believe that would be enough to draw in a qualified person to run the law library, because we would want possibly a paralegal, and I don't think you can hire a paralegal for $17 an hour. I could be wrong about that, but it makes more sense now rather than to have all these little positions, part-time positions that are paid lower amounts, to have one person who can handle more of the administrative tasks needed to run the court efficiently.
And the reason I said that, because Chair Al Kurtz and I had advocated for the funding to make sure that we had that office or that library staffed with an individual at least 3 full days a week. And we made certain that the funding was there to do that. And now what you're telling me is the funding is there, but it's being diverted to do something else because DeFanis determined it. It hasn't gone really through the board. This is the first time we hear of it. And then there's nobody in the law library to help the public.
Actually, that's been the case for the last 3 years, and it's been in all of our budgets.
I'm thinking, Geraldo, this is Darlene. I think what you're referring to is the self-help center person. What she's saying is the law librarian person is basically just to keep the library stocked and open and the law books up to date. They don't help the public. But the self-help person is the person that I think the county board funded previously. And actually RPC put some money into that as well.
I can actually, Geraldo's actually, this position actually gone before the board several times. It was originally a level K level position with an attorney. And then that person became the court administrator, and then Lori became the law librarian. So this position has been all over the place. And the last iteration was a job description that was based on the K level position, but with a G level funding. And so that's where it's been vacant for several years because there's been that disconnect. And so part of what Laura's looking at doing and the judge is looking at doing is what are all the things that need to be done, and how can they do that using the available funding, since the way that the positions were structured hasn't met those needs.
Well, I think I'm still as lost as I was when I asked the question, but we could talk about that at a later time. I don't want to take up the board's time on this one particular issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I can actually sit down and go over all of that with you at any point.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll do that.
So we had Jim next, then I guess Stephanie last, I guess. But Jim, you can go next.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I'm a little confused now, to be honest with you, in all this conversation. I thought this was basically we were going to take a person, am I understanding this right? Take a person that's currently in the position and promote them, give them extra duties. Am I correct there, Lori?
Yes.
Okay.
And And sort of. It was Lori, correct me if I'm wrong. You actually hired with the intent of it being this larger position. If this
Yeah.
person is able to complete the probationary period and demonstrate that they can actually take that position on. So it's not somebody who's been doing the secretary position. It's somebody who is really hired with the intent to be that level of an administrative assistant.
Right. It just, part of what's confusing is the timing. It just so happened that the person who had the previous position left the position to go back to school while we were closed during the pandemic. And then when we were able to start back up again, I had a lot of things that I wanted to get done, but the most realistic and efficient way to do it was to just hire another secretary. And when we interviewed the candidates, we let them know, listen, the job description as it is now is a lot, but we need you to do more in the future. And we are hoping, we're thinking about asking to have this position reclassified. So everybody we talked to knew that, and we hired with that intent, like Isak said, that this person needs to be able to do more than the position as it was described a year ago.
Okay, I was just wanting to confirm that this is actually a promotion and not a new position. So
correct.
I got a little lost in the translation there. Thank you for clearing it up.
Okay, Diane M. Or was it Stephanie? Which one was it? Diane.
I think Stephanie was before me.
I'm good. I found my answer.
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
If I'm hearing you correctly, you hired a person knowing that you were going to reclassify and upgrade their salary before you even thought about coming to the board?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. It was, we wanted to, but we didn't.
Person that they would have more responsibilities and that they would have an increase.
No, we did not tell them that.
What would happen if the board didn't approve it when you guys had this in the back of your mind for this person to do this? Would they be disheartened? I don't want to be promising or even giving the impression that something's going to happen to a new employee that now is an existing employee, that they're thinking this is all going to happen. I just don't see the timing is kind of a little backwards in some instances.
I see that. We never promised anything except what existed at the time.
Okay, is that it? Anybody else for discussion? Okay, moving on. This is not a roll call, I believe. So we're all in favor by saying aye.
It is a roll call.
Roll call. They need to put it on the agenda. Roll call, please, Secretary.
Lorsland?
Because I'm more confused than I was before, I'm going to vote no.
Tinsley?
No.
Wolken?
No.
Young?
No.
Clemens?
No.
Coward?
No.
Dillard Myers?
No.
Eisenman?
No.
Esri?
Yes.
Fears?
No.
Furtado?
Yes.
Goss?
Yes.
Harper?
No.
Ingram?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Michaels?
No.
Patterson?
Yes.
Rector?
Yes.
Store?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Rosales?
No.
Who was keeping track? No pass,
There was only 10 yeses.
so it didn't pass.
No.
Motion failed. Okay, moving on to number 2. Request for authorization to send the county clerk director of training description to the job evaluation committee for re-evaluation and review. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Kyle Patterson, number 1. Second motion.
I'll second.
Stephanie, number 2. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Can the clerk explain this to us a little bit?
Is he here? Is the county clerk here?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everybody.
Oh, okay.
So, first of all, happy birthday, Isak.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So when we came into office in 2018, there was of course, the clerk's position, chief of staff position, and the director of training position. From my perspective and what we have experienced here, I want to make sure I have my notes here so I can be clear. The exodus of the experienced staff required a major reorganization of the office and how our responsibilities were assigned within the administration. The director of training position was filled in May 2019, and since that time has evolved into more of a director of operations position. In previous administrations, the director of training was a patronage hire, and that person did not train the staff. That person trained election judges and worked in the elections department. So for almost 2 years in office, we have made it a priority to support the staff with resources, training, documentation, and we see that the director of operations position continuing those efforts. So we're just simply trying to move from director of training to director of operations.
Okay. Stephanie, next.
So you're just right now, just because I'm kind of somewhat with Connie, I get confused about what step of the process we're on. You're just asking this to go to that, whatever this committee is that looks at
job
these things?
job content evaluation.
Okay, so you're just asking us to send it to that committee with this vote.
In essence, yes, that's what it is.
Okay.
Connie Dillon Meyer, I see your hand.
And Isak, since you're on the subject, what's going to happen at that committee meeting when this request gets there? Just to educate us a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's just what we described in the previous one, that there's actually an evaluation that's filled out based by either the person currently doing the position or the department head, evaluating the scope of the scope of the responsibilities of the position, and the committee, and I facilitate it, and but it's really people from throughout departments around the county who are in senior positions who have a strong familiarity with the types of positions across the county, and it's compared against the responsibilities of other positions in the county and evaluated based on sort of identifying the parity, what makes sense in terms of this level of responsibility is commensurate with these types of positions. And so that's a big part of the basis for the recommendation. There's actually there's a grading system based on those responsibilities that sort of establish where that baseline recommendation is, but there's really sort of a detailed look at the job description and some of the positions to make sure that the grading actually makes sense. And if not, there's a lot more conversations about what is in the best interest of the county and what is in the best interest of the department, and the recommendation comes from there. I know the last few have been recommendations for this, for increases, but it really is all over it really, just as you saw, it's the committee makes a recommendation, the board votes on it, and then the actual action depends on the decisions of the elected official. So that's sort of
Okay,
the process.
by the time it gets back to the board, it'll have a description, it'll have the, okay. That's my question. It sounds like this person's been in this job less than a year. Did I hear May 2019 and they're already being upgraded?
So the way that the board actually has established salary administration guidelines, and that's on the website under the policies. And the way that process was established 2009 was the position as it's being performed or is intended to be performed is evaluated based on those actual responsibilities. And so it was designed so that as the needs of departments change based on needs and expertise, there's an opportunity for positions to either go up or go down. And they do, they actually, or they are eliminated, or they just are changed and modified, but without actually changing the grade range. And it's really based largely on the assessment of the position as it's actually being performed and how that's graded, and then how that compares to other positions with similar responsibilities in the county.
Okay. Well, it just seems like this person has been on the job less than a year, and that's kind of quick for a reevaluation, you know. It don't seem like they could get their job down pat in a year. And I'd like to see the scheme of things. If she's going to be director of operations, what is the county clerk and the deputy county clerk going to be doing? She's running the whole operation. I'd like to see more. The letter as it stands tells me nothing. You want to upgrade a person that's been in a job less than a year and change it to a director of operations? I would say the money be more better spent on someone to proofread your materials before you send it out, you know, to the public. I've gotten so many complaints from my constituents. Their names are wrong, the dates are wrong, the word Democrat is spelled wrong. The latest complaint was the fact that the database went up and showed everybody got a mail-in vote. I had to tell the lady that that date there was just a placeholder. So I'm getting more and more and more complaints about the county clerk's office, their inability to do their job from my constituents. And I don't see how you're going to upgrade somebody who's been on a job less than a year. Their job couldn't have changed that much in a year. I'd like to see more details on this.
Okay, we got a few hands here.
If I may respond, Chairman, Mr. Young, is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So first of all, coming into this office with the mass exodus of almost all of the experience orchestrated by the—
that over and over and over again, Aaron. You could skip
if
that.
somebody could please allow me to speak,
Let him speak.
I'd appreciate that. So again, anyone who's been in an administrative position understands that the staff underneath has to make sure that things run the way that they're supposed to on a day-to-day basis. So whenever you orchestrate the exodus and sabotage the office, there's going to be some concerns that arise out of that. And that is exactly what the local Republican Party did upon my entering into that office. Now, it took me a little while. I actually did all three of those positions for the first couple of months before the chief of staff was brought on board. And then in May of 2019, the current director of training was brought on board, and she's been there for over a year. And I have had an opportunity to reevaluate a couple of different positions in the office since I've been there. And the breakdown, we're happy to offer a breakdown of what these positions do. And I don't have a problem with that. And I can share some of it with you this evening. So for instance, for me, as an elected position, the policy-making position as the election authority, statute compliance, legislative issues and changes, executive decisions, signing particular contracts and documents, and various other different things, of course, that I have to do on a day-to-day basis. The current chief of staff is the way we have delegated these roles now is that she does HR and a payroll, office scheduling. She's the FOIA officer, information, communication, budgeting, purchasing, grants, tracking, county boards, closed sessions, and the director of operations now, because as I said before, the original director of training position was a patronage hire. That person did not do what was listed in the job description. So we had to address that and make some changes with that. So the implementation of new software and equipment, whether that's DevNet, Platinum, website project manager, training manuals and documentation, creating the infrastructure and maintaining the different forms of communication that we do internally, Asana, Teams, Slack, process and procedure development, doing the training, doing the election judge training, organizing that, admin support. So there's lots of different things that this position does when we are functioning in the way that we are supposed to in the office. So we are indeed getting our footing and I believe doing great work under the circumstances in this office of having all of the, again, the experience moved out of the office, running a election during a pandemic with deaths and people losing their lives here in Champaign County. So there's lots of different things that people could make issue with or take issue with. But I believe that the staff is doing an outstanding job under the circumstances, and we're only getting stronger as we go along. That's how we end up in the Denver Post and in Time Magazine and all these different places because of the great work that we are doing in the office. And the director of operations, the position that we want, the director of training, is an instrumental and part of all of what we're doing and the success that we have going forward.
Okay, so we got a list of hands here. So we got John Rector next, Angie Patton, Jim Goss, and Jody. So in that order, go ahead, Mr. Rector.
Thank you. Aaron, I know there's some challenges with the transition and all that. My challenge, or where I struggle with this is, if you have a deputy chief, in my mind, in that organizational structure, they would function as your director of operations. So I'm going to vote no against this just because of structure. It's you, it's your deputy chief. In my mind, that deputy chief in an organization should function as your director of operations. So I'll vote against this. Thank you.
Goss. Turn your mic on, Jim. You on mute, Jim. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks, Charles. Clerk Emmons, this is just a question. Is this an at-will employee or a union position?
It is an at-will position.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Okay, Sister Jody, where you at?
Yes, I guess I have the same comments that John Rector had, is that if this position is actually doing more than the person that was in there before, then if you're just rearranging some of the job duties, then maybe there's another position that needs to be downgraded. I guess that's really my only comment, and I'll be voting no also for the same reason that I voted no in the previous. At this point in time, I do not feel like the county can continue to increase the pay of the county employees at this time.
But if I could just respond here quickly. First of all, I want to remind the board that this is a vote to send this to the review committee. Okay? This is not a vote to whether or not you're going to approve this. This is to just send it to the review committee. So some of the things that are being shared and the hostility and all that type of stuff is really not necessary. We're just simply trying to move something to the review committee. And if they're in a time, or if and when the time comes to evaluate the pay, one of the things that we found when I came into office, that there was a employee who was paid $25,000 a year out of the grant, the IVRS grant, to do some of the technical support for the proprietary website that we had. So we see that there's an opportunity to, if there's an increase, we but see that being somewhere around the nature of maybe another $8,000 to $10,000 over the course of a year. That money will be covered through the grants and the various different grants that we brought in, the IVRS grant in particular. So this is not a cost increase to the county. So as far as the varying structures all throughout the county, I would agree with you, Ms. Wilson, that there's various different forms of structures throughout the county of how these offices are set up. And as the department head in my office, I believe I have the authority to determine how my office will be structured, just like the other ones do.
Okay, so with Stephanie and then Connie, and we might wrap it up, I think. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Aaron said. I actually don't think it's appropriate for the board to deny the review process. I think where we acted, I did vote yes on the last one, but that is when the board takes the review and says yes or no. For us to say that an elected official can't even get the review, what the review does is look at a market rate, but also how this position functions as compared to similar positions within the county. So the very kind of conversation that y'all are having about job duties, that is what the review does. And then we can make an informed decision. Just by saying send it to the review committee doesn't mean we're going to approve it. And I honestly feel like it is frankly overstepping the role of the board to deny even the review process and just honestly set a bad precedent in terms of how these offices function. That's all.
Okay, ooh, some hands. Who was that? Connie, then Kyle.
I just want to say, my anger comes from the fact that I have to listen to constituents in my district complain about the county clerk's office and the treasurer's office. So yeah, I'm going to express my upset because that's what my constituents are. And it's a shame that your office, Aaron, can't even spell. These people are complaining, not even spelled correctly. Always something's misspelled. You need a proofreader, or you need somebody in your office to start proofreading. And I suspect the same person you want to upgrade is responsible for all of these errors, and not most of them, if not all. I suspect, I don't know. But I'm frustrated just like my constituents, and I'm gonna share that with the board. I don't care who don't like it, and I don't care if you think I'm not right. And I don't think this process should go on, because if it wasn't for the board to vote on, it wouldn't be in front of us. So I don't think anything out of the county clerk's office should go up for evaluation until you get his stuff straight.
Thank you, Connie.
People stop complaining about his office.
Thank you, Connie. We got Patterson and Mike Ingram next.
I call the question.
I just want to say that
Ended with Mike Ingram. Go ahead, Kyle.
Stephanie made a lot of the points I wanted to touch on. This is just looking at a review, just like you're doing with the last item. The final decision will come before us, and and if you don't like it, then just like the last item, it can get voted down. It seems like a lot of people have a lot of questions, which is what that process is for. And I just want to remind everybody that we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and one of the offices that is going to have the most difficult time doing that is the clerk's office. Running an election during a pandemic is going to be something our county has never experienced before. We are seeing completely unprecedented numbers of mail-in ballots. That's going to completely transform the way that they have to do that operation. So I don't think that we should stop at least from reviewing this type of thing if it's going to help to improve that office. Thanks.
Okay, and we're going to end it with Mike.
Maybe I missed it when Isak was talking earlier, but how long does this process usually take when it gets sent to review? If somebody can answer for me.
Yeah, usually.
Did someone call the question?
Well, you have to be recognized to call the question, and then somebody has to second it.
Someone already called the question once. Rector called the question.
He wasn't recognized to do so, so thank you.
Yeah, he was. He was talking.
Point
and
of
he called a
order,
question.
Mike Ingram has the floor.
Mike,
Well, I
the
am
chair to
calling a
vote.
point of order. That's why I'm speaking.
let him speak, Jim McGuire. Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm calling a point of order because we had someone call the question. You continue to discuss the issue.
You have to be recognized to call the question. He wasn't recognized by the chair.
I'm down to it. Go ahead, Mike.
Isak, did you have an answer for that? Thank you.
Yes. Generally, if it were to be approved to be reviewed, it would come back to the next COW. So it's just a, it's usually pretty quick.
Okay, so we could theoretically be looking at this. Just from, as I said earlier, I've got about 6 emails that have to do with the treasurer's office. I did just go back and double check with a couple keyword searches. I have no constituents that have any complaints about spelling errors.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to do a roll call. Where you at, Secretary? So we can keep this moving.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Oh,
Young,
No.
Clemens,
No.
Cowart,
No.
Dillard Myers,
No.
Eisenman,
No.
Esri,
No.
Fears,
No.
Fortato.
Yeah.
Did you say yes?
Yep. Yes, I did.
Goss,
No.
Harper,
No.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
No.
Michaels,
No.
Patterson,
Yes.
Richter,
No.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales,
No.
Okay, motion failed. Okay, let me write that down here. Where we at? Number 3, Job Evaluation Committee declined to recommend increase of salary range for Chief Information Officer. This is just information only. Number 4, monthly HR report, July.
Chair Young, you do have a couple hands up for this item, it looks like.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. All right, go ahead. Jody, Steve Summers, number 4. 3. Hello?
Charles, did you want Jody or me to
Jody
speak?
go first. Jody can go first.
I'm sorry. I have nothing.
No, Jody? All right, go ahead, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Chair Young. I appreciate it. I will try and be as brief as possible. In looking at the material in our packet, I noted that there was not really any specific information about salary ranges. And as you know, you were kind enough to submit a request to Chair Kleppel, to Executive Kleppel, asking for additional information. I did get an email from both Executive Kleppel and from Ms. Griffiths. In the email that Ms. Griffiths sent me, she indicated that our wages for the IT position in Champaign County were competitive except when compared to the university. In looking at data for some of the larger organizations in Champaign County, the cities of Champaign-Urbana, cities of Champaign, of Urbana, both of the 2 school districts, there is not really a strong argument that there's a competitive wage there in terms of what we're paying for our new IT position. The IT director for the city of Champaign makes almost $34,000 more a year than our IT director. In fact, I was not able to get the Champaign IT director's salary, but I know the Urbana School District salary is commensurate to ours. So well, I'm being told that our wages are competitive, except when compared to the university. When you actually compare the wages, we're exactly $805 away from being at the bottom. Now, I'm not going to comment on whether or not this committee's recommendation is an appropriate one or not, but I will say that when I ask for information about why this decision was made, and I get information that is incorrect and appears to be skewed towards simply supporting the conclusion of the committee, that is very, very upsetting. And I think most members of this board should realize that if the data you're getting isn't accurate, you can't make a good decision. This is not a question, it's just a comment. Thank you.
Did you want them to respond, Isak or Darlene? Steve Summers, okay. Any more?
The question is if they want us to respond.
Yeah, do you want to respond, Isak or Darlene, either one?
I think the question is if we're invited to respond.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to actually share the numbers, right? No, you just follow up and ask me what is it we're actually, look at the numbers. We're happy to share that or sit down and go over it with you at any time.
Okay. Darlene, you want to add to it anything? Or is that good enough?
No, I think that's fine. I mean, I think Isak does her research, and obviously Steve is doing research in his own way, and they didn't agree, but they can certainly have a conversation about it. And Steve, I will continue to make the offer. If you would ever like to have a meeting, we're happy to do that. That's been offered several times.
Thank you. That was a good question, Steve Summers. Thank you. Anybody else with this before I move on to number 4? Okay, here we go. Monthly HR report, July and August 2020 have been accepted and placed on file. With number 5, I want to do these 4 appointments, A through D. I'm reading off my memo that I got earlier today. So I'm going to try to do it all with one motion if you guys don't mind. If you don't mind, thank you. The county executive is recommending the names and positions of A, Drainage District number 2, Town of Scott, Daniel Noel, who is reappointed to a term of 9/24/2020 to 8/31/2023. B, Perry Creek Drainage District, Stanley Wilkins, who is reappointed to term 9/24/2020 to 8/31/2023. C, West Branch Drainage District, Stanley Wilkins. Are they related? Stanley Wilkins, who is reappointed to a term 9/24/2020 to 8/31/2023. And D, Union Drainage District 2 of St. Joe and Ogden, Stephanie Halls, who is appointed to term 9/24/2020 to 8/31/2022. Can I get a motion?
So moved, McGuire.
McGuire first, and the second motion.
Second,
Who's on the second?
Who that? Second motion?
Jody Eisman.
Eisman, thank you. Any discussion? Discussion going once?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Now, Stanley Wilkins was at our last board meeting, both recommendations for those 2 drainage districts. And I believe that I spoke with Aaron Esri and he explained some of the issues pertaining to that. So that's why you see him on the county.
That was Travis Fruling,
Pardon?
not Stan Wolken.
It wasn't Stan?
No.
Oh, it was somebody else.
Yep, Travis Fruling.
And he was also going to be appointed to 2 drainage districts, correct?
He was up for 2 appointments, yes.
But we did not approve that, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I draw that back that it's not Stanley Wilkins. So great, thank you, Aaron, for the clarification.
Well, thank you, Chair, for clarifying on my end too, because I thought it was related. They're the same person. Ha ha ha, it's with the laugh. Okay, so we're gonna do a roll call for all 4. Secretary.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fierce,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
No.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector, Store,
Yes.
Summers,
No.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales,
Yes.
and I'll go back to Rector. Are you here? Okay.
I don't see him on the board.
Yeah.
Megan, I think he had to leave. He had a
Thank you.
family member.
Okay, I think motion passed. Motion passed. Okay, where I'm at, B, County Clerk, 1 August 2020 report has been accepted and placed on file. C, other business. I have no other business. Does anybody before the board have any more other business? Anybody else? Seeing none. D, Chair Report, 1 County Executive Appointments, expire October 2020. It's just information only. 2, currently vacant appointment made by the county executive. Full list and information is available on the county website, and the link is right there. And I believe on a consent agenda, we have none, right? 0. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes,
That's it.
correct.
Thank you. It's been a while. I had to get back into the groove of thing. And this concludes my policy report, and I turn it back over to you, Chair Rosales.
Thank you very much, Mr. Young. Justice and Social Justice, Kyle Patterson, you have the floor.
Thanks. Item A is just the monthly reports. All reports are available on each department's webpage through the department reports page at the website listed. We also have the Rosecrans Reentry Financial Report for July 2020. Does anybody have any questions about any of the reports, comments? All right, item C is request for authorization for approval of intergovernmental agreements for the following control services. Request for authorization for approval of intergovernmental agreements for animal control services with the following: Bonneville for impoundment and service, Broadlands for impoundment and service, Champaign for impoundment and service, D-Land for impoundment and service, Fisher for impoundment, Foosland for impoundment and service, Gifford for impoundment and service, Ibesdale for impoundment and service, Ludlow for impoundment and service, Ogden for impoundment and service, Pesotum for impoundment and service, Philo for impoundment and service, Rantoul for impoundment, Royal for impoundment and service, Savoy for impoundment, Sydney for impoundment and service, Thomasboro for impoundment and service, Tolono for impoundment, and Urbana for impoundment. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Taylor.
A second?
Second, McGuire.
Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, could we have a roll call?
Sorry.
Diane has her hand
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry, Diane.
I actually did on both sides. Real quick, I believe from what as much as I read of these, that everything pretty much stayed the same. And I know Stephanie's on here. So that was just kind of my question. Were there anything that was different? Because they kind of looked all the same as they were before.
And Stephanie is here.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So the only major change to the agreements involve the impoundment of animals that are being held for court. And we added language to that section, which I believe is 8 of the impound agreement, And basically, we're asking the cities and villages that when we are holding an animal for court past a certain time, they are then responsible for paying the county a $15 a day boarding fee for those animals. In 2019, we were holding animals for 200 days, 300 days, and we were not recouping any costs for holding those animals during that time frame. So I decided that we needed to change the language so that we are recouping some of the cost of caring for those animals that are being housed there for, hundreds of days.
Thank you. That was my only question. Thank you.
All right, does anybody else have any other questions or comments? Seeing none, give a roll call.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Fortato,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
All right, that passes. The next item is D1 is resolution approving the application for and if awarded acceptance of Department of Justice fiscal year 2020 National Crime Statistics Exchange Implementation Assistance Program, continued support program. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Rosales.
Do I have a second?
Michaels, second.
All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this agenda item? This is pretty routine as far as the reporting system they're trying to upgrade. They're trying to switch from the ARMS to the new system is an acronym. That's the Uniform Crime Report. And essentially this grant is just going to be able to speed up the process for us. This is something we've already been working on. But yeah, does anybody, if nobody has any questions or comments, we can go to roll call.
Or has his hand up.
Oh, Chris.
Hi, thank you. I did have some questions about the proposal, and Sheriff Harmon was kind enough to answer those. And I asked if he would make a presentation about this at some future time, and he agreed to do that.
All right, Steve.
Sorry, I don't know how that popped up.
It happens. All right, do a roll call.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Fortato,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Richter, Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
All right, that passes. There's no other business. There's no chair's report. Designation of items to be placed on the consent agenda would be C1A through S and D1. And that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you for your report. Thank you for your report, Kyle. Appreciate it. Next, we have finance. Jim Goss, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair Rosales. Tonight I offer up item 10A1, a budget amendment 20-00043 from Fund 476, self-funded insurance to Department 118, property liability insurance. It's an increased appropriation of $200,000. There is no increased revenue. The reason is to pay claim expenses related to the hail damage to county vehicles on July 11th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Move to
Ms. Furtado, is there a second?
second, Rosales.
Mr. Rosales, discussion on this item. Mr. Rosales, you have your hand up. Is that for discussion?
No, that was just a slow at the draw.
Does anyone have a discussion? Seeing none?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Storr.
Thank you, Mr. Goss. I made an inquiry about vehicles that were going to be repaired, and it's unclear to me how many vehicles actually are going to be repaired. And I was kind of wondering how many vehicles are going to be repaired.
The memo does not address that. And I don't know if Mr. Brenner or somebody from, I don't know if anybody else is on here that can answer that call. We could certainly get that answer.
I can speak to that. This is Tammy.
Oh, thanks, Tammy.
There were 31 vehicles that were damaged by hail, and at this time it appears that there will be repairs made to 25 of those vehicles.
Ms. Ogden, how many of those are older than 10 years old?
Of the ones that are planned to be repaired at this time, there is one that is 10 years old. There are two that are older than 10 years that were sheriff's vehicles, and he has determined that the value is not there to proceed with repairs.
I ask because I'm concerned if the damage is cosmetic and the vehicles are somewhat aged. I rather hate to see our fund depleted when we may need this funding for something more substantial. Thank you.
And my comment to that would be that our insurance specialists works with the departments to make them aware of that. And just so you're also aware, the self-funded insurance fund will pay for these repairs this year, but then the following year, those departments are actually billed for those repairs. So it incentivizes them to place value in whether or not they should go ahead and proceed with repairs based on the value of the vehicle.
So is this something that is proposed, or is it going to actually go forward?
The budget amendment?
No. I meant the repairs.
Oh, at this time, there are 25 vehicles scheduled to be repaired. There are 6 that are not scheduled to be repaired.
Thank you. Yeah, got it.
Mr. Harper.
Yeah, well, Tammy's there. This does not include any of our other property damage that we've discussed in facilities, does it?
No, it does not.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Harper, could you please take your hand down? And with that, Megan, would you please call the roll?
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
No.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item 10A2, budget amendment 20-00044 from Fund 080 General Corporate to Department 042 Corner, increased appropriations of $3,500, increased revenue of $3,500. This is to expend funds received through a private grant from Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago for sudden, unintentional, opioid, and other drug-related deaths. Sudor's contract.
So moved.
Is moved by Mr. Rosales. Is there a second?
This is Chris. I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Store. Discussion. Okay, seeing none. Megan, would you please call the roll?
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken, Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector, Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales,
Yes.
Okay, so motion passes. We're down to item 10B. Number one, the monthly distribution. The third distribution report is on the website. I do see that Treasurer Hughes is on the phone call, and it looks like Chair Rosales has a question.
Yes, I have a question for Mrs. Hughes regarding the distribution, which is the fourth distribution, which began September 2nd. And I have a question about the third distribution that I did not see on the website regarding distribution. I hear there's only 70% of the distribution that has been made. Some of these districts have complained that they have not gotten all their money to date. So August distribution was not totally made to 100%. So my question is, when is she going to get the fourth distribution done, as well as to what happened to the distribution, to the third distribution in August that wasn't completed at 100%?
Okay, thank you for your question. We are working right now trying to fix a lot of errors and trying to reflect the real amounts from the distribution. And we decide don't do the full distribution yet because we are trying to give the money to the districts, the big portion of money. And it will be better to receive a big portion of money, 100%, than just receive a small portion. The reason is we are working right now, we continue working and fix the errors and issues we had with the system. We had a lot close account from the ACH and do a lot of adjustments.
Second question that I have is, when is your office going to be back open for operations? because I received a lot of complaints that are not being addressed via the phones or in person. So are you setting up appointments like the clerk's office so that individuals could come and discuss one-on-one personally their taxes, as well as the estate sales that are coming up?
That is correct. And I don't have the day exactly when I will be open the office because we are concentrating right now on processing payments. Do soon as possible to finish the distribution. We are planning to do the distribution the end of this month or beginning of the next month.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like next is Ms. Furtado.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. My first question is, how are the reconciliations going? About how close are you to getting the 2019 reconciliations done?
Our main concentration right now is the collector side because we need to give the money to the district, and the auditor office are in charge working on the 2019 bank reconciliations. And we didn't move forward just for last, I know right now maybe we had 50% of the 2019 done, and we don't, I have not received any progress and any update from the auditor office.
The 2020 reports, I saw that you had posted August, but April, May, June, July are still not up. Do you have any timeline on when those reports will be up?
What I mentioned you before, right now my main concentration is the collector side. I can work on the treasurer side. Right now it's very important for us just finish processing payments and just do the distribution for the districts.
And then my last question is, and I honestly I don't know if this is a question for you or just a question maybe for the executive that you could get back to me on. Is there no statutory requirement for the office to be open to the public?
This is Darlene. There is not a statutory requirement that it be physically open. There is a requirement that the office be open. So her office is operating and open, but it is not required that she has walk-in appointments.
Okay, and okay.
And just to say, there are other offices that have been closed at various times too. So you may be aware the clerk's office also has been closed and is still closed. I believe that they're taking appointments. They've been taking appointments, but their door is locked to walk-ins. So it's for various reasons of how the offices are set up and what their tasks are done, that they're doing right now.
Okay, Ms. Michaels.
Just a couple questions. How far behind are you on posting the second installments? I didn't hear that. If you mentioned it earlier, I didn't catch it.
Will you repeat again because it's really difficult?
Yes. How far behind are you in posting the second installments of real estate taxes?
Right now, we are almost done processing every escrow, the escrow side, the online payments, and tomorrow we are planning to send the ACH file. We didn't send before the ACH file because we had a lot of errors, a lot of accounts are closed, and the system bills the paid but are not paid yet. And we are planning to finish because we have been working with a lot of errors and fix a lot of things. And tomorrow we are going to do the final ACH. And right now we are continuing processing payments and import files from different banks, import files from the PO Box, and we're working together. Our team, our staff, my staff is working and trying to processing payments and finish as soon as possible. That is the reason we close the office and just schedule appointments.
Okay, so what I'm asking is, within the next week, people can go online and see that their payments were processed for the second installment. Yes or no?
Thank you for your question. That is our project. Our project is finished processing payments this week, and we hope in next week, I don't know, maybe around Wednesday or Thursday, everything will be it will be shown in the website.
Okay, because I also have received a lot of messages, but not only from constituents, but also from families. So, I get it quite often. My next question is, a lot of times when things are not posted, they might appear as delinquent, and those near the end get posted in the paper. Are we going to wait before we post anything in the newspaper that people are delinquent? Because it's really not their fault, and I didn't know if there was a statute that said that you had to post those within a certain frame time of when the last installment was due.
That is the reason we are trying to processing everything to be ready for the tax sale. That is the reason we will need to be careful and precautious about what we're doing right now, because we don't want to sell taxes the people already pay. We don't want to have that kind of problem. And just to remind you, I think this kind of situation is not a unique situation with me. That kind of situation happens every year. Right now, we're trying to do our best. We're trying to move forward. We're trying to work efficiently. And my staff is trying to finish all processing payments in the right way and in the fastest way we can do.
I understand that, ma'am, but what I'm asking is are you going to postpone posting delinquencies if these are not all posted correctly in your system? Because I'm sure that's where the file comes from that goes to the paper that says people are delinquent. That's my question.
Yeah. Your question answer was saying my website, and also I'm going to answer your question again. We are going to, we're processing payments to the day the taxpayers pay. We are respecting the day from the taxpayers pay their taxes, and we are not just give any delinquent or interest charge to their bill.
That's all, Chairman Goss.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Michael. I do know that Jody Wolken is trying to get back in, so if somebody could help her get back in, she's been booted off twice now. She just texted me. Looks like next is Mr. Ingram.
Thank you. So if I could ask a couple things. One, I think you mentioned at one point that the auditor's office is handling some of the workload for the treasurer's office. Is that correct?
That is correct. The auditor's office offered to work on 2019 budget reconciliation, because right now I don't have the budget to continue working on the budget reconciliation, the 2019 budget reconciliation by my own. And also the board is not willing to approve a budget amendment. And the auditor's office offered to use their budget and work and finish the 2019 budget reconciliation.
Okay, well, that seems extremely nice of the auditor's office. A couple of months ago when you were here, one of the things that I think other people asked was whether or not you would be able to figure out within the system if you could stop the system from assessing late payments just automatically based on the fact that you hadn't entered the information yet. And I never got a good answer to that. And based on what people are emailing me constantly, they are seeing late fees assessed automatically even when they've paid. Did you investigate this and find that there's no way within the system to stop late fees from showing up, even though you haven't, it's just that you haven't gotten around to it yet? Is it impossible to turn off?
I did. And I haven't worked with them and trying to fix a lot of problems, because the system doesn't provide us the facilities to work and just avoid things. We are really limited with the system. And we can't do anything, and just the Tegnet system didn't give us the opportunity to avoid the late fees from the taxpayers to see on the website. We're having working with the Tegnet system and trying to fix things and trying to, the system provide us the facilities to work in the best way and the efficient way, but no, we don't have any option what the system just show up in the website, no late fees.
Okay, well, that's not an answer that I think anybody was hoping to hear. I do appreciate Member Michael's asking about the posting of things to the newspaper. I don't think that she got an adequate answer from that, and I hope that there's a follow-up there because people are obviously very concerned about the fact that even though they've paid, they are suddenly going to end up either in the tax sale or listed in the newspaper. So I would very much like to hear a plan on how to stop that from happening. I don't know what that is. That's something that I would like to hear what we're going to do to make sure that we don't have our county taxpayers who have been paying on time suddenly finding themselves either listed in the paper or the subject of a tax sale. Thanks.
We are working on the errors, we are working on the issues right now. What I mentioned before, we had a lot of problems with the ACAs, with the accounts are closed, doesn't reflect the real balance of their bills. And also we're working with a big report from the duplicate payments. And we're working on all other issues, is like ACHs, the people who sold the houses, but never let the treasurer office know about the situation. And we are trying to avoid that kind of problems before to the tax sale.
Mr. Ingram, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, looks like Mr. Clemens.
I have had several phone calls from people wanting to know when they're going to get refunds on their taxes for double paying because they were not being shown paid. These are elderly people, for the most part, that have called me. And I just kind of want an answer. When are we going to start refunding this money? Because these elderly people, fixed incomes, and they're really needing this money back. And the only reason they double paid it was because they were afraid to have their name in the paper because we're not showing paid.
Okay, right now we are working fixing errors and trying to find the real situation and real balance from the bills. And we can give the refund things we can fix first and work with the errors. Then, and after that, we will be sure the amount we'll need to refund, we need to do to the specific taxpayers. And right now, our project is finished processing payments, and we're planning to start working at the refund checks approximately for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
Are you done, Mr. Clemens?
Yes, I'm done.
Ms. Furtado.
I understand what you're saying about that you're prioritizing the collections, and I do, while I do think that is important, I don't think we need the cash fund reports. We need the fund balance reports. So I know we've spoken about this many times, but I'm formally asking for the May through July fund balance reports by the next county board meeting, and I will be asking this at every meeting from now on. With just, all of the functions of the office need to be performed. And so I'm formally asking for those by July. In order for us to provide correct oversight, we need those fund balance reports.
Okay, I will do.
Mr. Storr.
Thank you. I had an inquiry from one of the people in my district about placing a payment in the slot near the county offices. And the district resident said that the payments, she thought that the payments go to Decatur to be processed. Is there a drop slot for property tax payments in the county? And do they actually get shipped someplace else for processing? Thank you.
The Treasury Office have been working for 12 years with First Tech. First Tech is provide processing payments
Wayne
from the
Williams, you
PO
don't
box.
get to ask a question. This is not public.
Excuse me?
Jim, your mic's on.
Excuse me, could you repeat again? I didn't answer your question. Your question was, we will processing payments in the Decatur? Yes, because First Tech works in the Decatur. First Tech is part of the Busey Bank, and First Tech is having working with the Treasurer's Office for 12 years. This is your question. I don't know if I answered your question or.
Well, I think that the concern was that there might be a delay in marking the in the payment as being received, and that was the concern.
Yeah, we are processing the payments that the day we receive. We are processing the payments the day the taxpayers pay their bills.
And that includes being dropped in the Dropbox.
Yes, the postmark. We are respecting the postmark.
I don't think that there's a postmark if they put it in a slot in the county building. Is there?
No, it's not postmark. I'm talking about the PO box postmark. They are processing the PO box postmark. That I'm talking about. From the other one, from if they drop up in the boxes in the county, we respect the day they drop up from the checks that they in the drop box.
Not sure I understand the answer, but would I be correct if they're processed on the day that they're dropped in the slot in the Dropbox in the county building?
The payments we are processing the day were received. They might receive.
From Decatur or from that box?
For the box, and from the Decatur is the day the postmark.
So I hear that the question is, once that statement gets dropped into that box outside of the treasurer's office, does it get sent to Decatur and then Decatur postmarks it? Or do you postmark it from your office right there once it gets dropped off?
The day we receive.
Who will receive?
The day we receive in the box, the day the taxpayers drop out their checks in the box, we respect that day the taxpayers drop out in the box.
So who postmarks it, you or Decatur?
We process some as, yes.
Okay, Mr. Storr, are you done?
Thank you, Mr. Goss. I think that answers the question.
Any other questions?
You got one from Wayne, I guess?
Yeah, he's not a board member. I'm sorry. We're not
Okay.
taking public comment.
Fair enough, thank you.
Okay, I'd just like make a comment that and a question, more or less. Marisol, what are you doing about the tax sale date? Have you moved the tax sale date?
Yeah, we rescheduled the tax sale because we are not ready and we are processing payments right now. We need to be ready for the tax sale, and the tax sale is scheduled right now for November 26th.
Okay, November 26th. All right, that was my question.
25.
Okay. All right, I think that's everything we've got for the treasurer. Next up is the auditor. Monthly reports for the August are on the website. Treasurer Danos is on here. So question for treasurer or auditor, sorry, Auditor Danos. Questions for him. Mr. Rosales, you got your
My
hand up.
question to George is basically that if just about a month ago, we went ahead and completed the CAFRs for 2018, what has his office done since 2019 to date, which is about 20 months, when you have no real numbers from the treasurer's office to crank and basically work with. If you have no real numbers, what have you been doing for the last 20 months?
Geraldo, I think you have already answered your own question in the way you berate your appointee, Marisol. Clearly, she has offloaded her reconciliation duties into my office. We are completing the 2019 bank reconciliations. My chief deputy stayed up until 12:49 a.m. last night and emailed Marisol the good news that he'd finished those reconciliations for all the single revenue funds. Now he's working on the general corp fund in the First Federal Bank. So he needs to do that so that we can get the opinion returned on the 2019 CAFR. I hope that's clear. Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, so 2020 is not in sight at all, which is 9 months of 2020, right?
We've finished 8 months we're 8.5 months into 2020. And the Government Finance Officers Association is not requiring extensions. And so we'll be deemed on time when we have the opinion returned for the 2019 CAFR, for the 2019 audit by the end of this calendar year. I mean, of course, we're looking backwards. We're processing them after we've got them. I can't give you 2020 financials when the year's not up.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Ingram, you're next.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Auditor. Can you tell me, remind me how many people staff your office, including you?
Yeah, we're 6.
6 total, okay. And at least one person is currently tasked to work in the treasurer or work for the treasurer's reconciliations? Is it one?
Well, that is distributed between both the chief deputy and one of the accountants.
Okay, so at a reasonable percentage of the time, you're down nearly 20% of your workforce.
I will, it's significant sacrifice on their part. I don't know if I would say that's equivalent of an entire staff person, but it's additional duties and it's significant.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. What do you have do you remember, or do you have offhand when the 2017 CAFR was actually finally completed and submitted? And
yeah, the opinion, the 2017 CAFR's opinion was returned on December 18th or 19th of 2018.
Okay, cool. Just trying to put that in its right place. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, George.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Okay, it looks like Mr. Harper's next.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think George already answered that. My question was where we were with the 2019 CAFR, and you're looking at December, you said, I believe.
Well, by December, we'll have everything and have uploaded the opinion to all the different oversight agencies. I'll provide a draft of the financial statements on my website in late October. And then after that point, it's just a matter of all the supporting documents being brought from the departments to the auditor and letting the external auditor do their analysis so that they can say your statements are fine. We think that you have stated the position of the county correctly in all material respects. So there's a lag between the production that comes out of my office and then the return of the opinion from the auditor. But so even the last step will be done by the end of the calendar year, but you'll still have something tangible for me, a deliverable by the end of October.
Okay, thanks, George.
You're welcome.
Ms. Furtado.
George, I know for the 2019 CAFR that, correct me if I'm wrong, there was some delays. I think one of the delays was the a difficulty with the nursing home and sorting that out. And another delay was with the circuit clerk's office because I think a key staff member wasn't there. Has all of that been smoothed out so we don't anticipate that again this time?
No, actually, the 2019 audit does depend on the circuit clerk finishing up all requested documents by the external auditor. So even though our 2018 audit is complete, the accounting's audit's complete, and it's a clean audit, there's a compliance portion that is still not resolved coming from the circuit clerk. And you can't go from one year to the other, overlapping. So that is something that I have to work closely with Ms. Blakeman to expedite.
Okay. The other thing I just knew that, and about the nursing home, I mean, I know some of that's a little out of our control, but do we think we'll be able to get the data we need from them in a timely manner?
I think most of the difficulty was for the 2018, not for the 2019 audit.
Okay. I just wasn't sure how lingering that was. Finally, I just wanted to publicly thank you, and please convey that to our staff.
Thank you.
It is
Oh, I
not a
will. Thank
reasonable
you.
expectation to expect people to stay to midnight to do a job that isn't even theirs. So that's, in my estimation, that's the definition of a true public servant. So please thank them on my behalf.
Thank you, Stephanie. I wish they were on this call, but I will definitely convey it.
I'll send an email that you could forward.
All right, thanks.
Mr. McGuire.
Thank you. Can you explain this document from the circuit clerk's office? Because I remember discussing this issue with her, and there was some conflict in that discussion that it was not her that was the issue, but the auditor's office.
I've never heard any complaints from Katie myself. I do recall her addressing you at the county board meeting, saying that we might consider replacing the external auditor, Baker Tilly, which I'd never made any complaint about the external auditor, and so I was surprised that she would venture an opinion like that. Is that what you refer to?
No, I would like to know which document that she was delayed in returning to your office, so I can ask her directly about.
Sure. Those discussions were about her income statement. It was her financial document. So it's a component that goes into the overall 2018 CAFR. That's okay. That's been resolved. But there's something
So you can't tell me what document it was?
It's a J report. That is what you're referring to. The J report is still outstanding. She has to resolve that. If you convey the urgency of it to her, I would be very helpful.
Okay, Mr. McGuire, are you finished?
Sure.
Okay, George, is the J report not a part of the CAFR then?
No, not at all. It's an internal compliance document.
Okay. Just a semantic question. I mean, if you've noticed, I consistently vote no on claims. And the reason I vote no is because we have no idea financially where the hell we're at in this county. And that's not, part of it lies in your office and the fact that we're writing checks with no idea where we're at on income. And most of it lies in the last 2.5 years of the treasurer's office. And I mean, I don't know why we're sitting here trying to make decisions on a budget the size we're making it without complete financial numbers. There should never be more than a 30-day lag. And the fact that we keep writing checks, I realize we got to cut payroll checks. I get it. But why should we as a county board approve items that are extemporaneously above budgets? We have no idea. In a year where we know revenues are going to be down, we have no idea where we're at revenue-wise. Ms. Ogden is left with guessing because we don't have complete financial information. It's not really, I mean, you've done what you've done, but that's why I continually and will continue to vote no on the county claims, because we're writing checks that we certainly do not have any idea where we're at funding-wise. So.
Okay, Jim, thanks for letting me know. I wasn't about to take those no votes personally. I wasn't sure where they were arising from. If I were in your shoes, I would, and I think you have done this, as the payment of claims comes in, you can see if it's proportional to the budget on a monthly basis. This payment of claims is $8.35 million. If you multiply that by 12, it comes to about $100 million. Our budget's less than that on an annual basis, of course, so there's nothing askew. There was a time when there were internal checks that made the figure look like it was 20 million, but that all had to do with diffusing the bonds on the nursing home, and you properly asked a question about that. And so I think that's the normal give and take that we have here at the board. But I concur. I would love to have current income figures. Revenue, of course, does come from the treasurer's office, and we do think about that very much in the auditor's office. And after this election, I will I will invite the winner of the treasurer's election in for early transition activities. They can't only go with the outgoing treasurer. They should also interface with us in the auditor's office. I think that would be helpful and necessary.
And it'd also be nice if the board was informed if they're not keeping up with reconciliations, because we found that out far too late last year to do anything about it. Not saying that would have changed anything, because obviously we had a treasurer that was completely defiant. So I'm not saying it would have changed anything, but I mean, you should be sounding the alarm to this board, in my opinion, or the auditor, whoever it may be, should be sounding the alarm to this board that things aren't being done. And you can't do your job, because you can't do your job if they're not doing theirs first. So I would appreciate the heads up. So that's all I had. We are on to, thank you for being here, George. Thanks for staying. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
We are now on to item 10D1, the approval and authorization to sign an intergovernmental agreement for the Justice Assistant Grant JAG program. Is there a motion?
I'll make that a motion. Harper.
Mr. Harper, is there a second?
Second, Thorsland.
Mr. Thorsland, is there discussion? Okay, seeing none, could the clerk please call the roll?
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Young had to leave the meeting. He told me to tell you guys he had another meeting to go to.
thank you. Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Yes.
Esri, Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. All right, item 10E1, resolution approving the acceptance of settlement agreement for the Jack C. Richmond Trust Distribution. Is there such a motion?
So moved, Clemens.
Mr. Clemens, is there a second?
Michaels.
Second, Michaels. Discussion over this item. I would like to, as the chair, publicly thank Barb Mann and Tammy Ogden for bird dogging this. I mean, 400,000 is a big deal. And so I appreciate them staying up with it. And the staff and administrative services that was able, I think Rita was able to go find the documentation was also very important. So I don't think if we had to provided that necessarily this would have come our way. So thank you all for doing what you're supposed to do. Thank you so much for digging it up for us. We appreciate it very much. Could the clerk call the roll, please?
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rosales,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion is approved unanimously. Item 10E2 does not need approval because we didn't get it out of policy personnel, so it won't be discussed. Other business, I have none. I have no chair's report. Items for the consent agenda, I've got 10A2, 10D1, and 10E1. With that, Mr. Chair, I return the gavel to you.
Thank you, Jim. Totally appreciate your report. Darlene, item 11 has been removed, correct? Darlene? Well, I have nothing to present for item 11A unless, Megan, is there anybody doing that, or is there something I don't know about? I had this item removed with Darlene. So we're not gonna do item 11A. So we could skip that, and then I move to adjourn. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Jim, second by
Second by Walton.
Walton. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Take a roll call.
Happy birthday, Isaac.
No.
Could I get a roll call?
You don't need a motion. You don't need to vote on it.
Okay, great.
We're gone.
We stand adjourned. Thank you for your patience and your due diligence.
Thank you all.
You all have a good week. Bye.
Bye, Lorraine.
Goodbye. If I can get it off.